You might be watching this from your bed right now. You can probably feel the warm embrace of the covers lulling you into that resigned sense of security. It makes sense for your body to tell you that you're safe. You need sleep. Your mind needs to rest. I mean, you're safe enough. Probably. We know the blankets could never protect us from any real threat, but we still tuck our toes away from the monster under the bed. Logically, there's no reason to fear our bedroom just because it's dark. Nothing changes when the sun goes down. I mean, we could sit in here all day and never once consider that our place of comfort could be complicit in concealing something evil. But there's something about sunset. Something about the darkness slowly swallowing the room, crawling up the walls and veiling the ceiling behind its dense, almost tangible presence. Something that makes us hesitate. Something that makes us uncertain. If I can't see my surroundings, then how do I know what surrounds me? How do I know I'm alone in here? Still, this feeling isn't entirely irrational, I suppose. If there was some kind of creature or predator in your room, you'd want your body to remain aware and alert enough to notice. In a survival situation, fear is a tool that your mind can use to protect you. That all makes sense. But I know that your mind, well, not your mind specifically, but actually my mind in this scenario, the human subconscious mind does not always have the best intentions, or good intentions at all, for its host. Sleep paralysis. According to Wikipedia, sleep paralysis is a state during waking up or falling asleep in which a person is conscious but in a complete state of full body paralysis. During an episode, the person may hallucinate, which often results in fear. Episodes generally last no more than a few minutes. It can recur multiple times or occur as a single episode. According to me, it is so much more than a sleep disorder. There is no lens that you can look through that makes sleep paralysis fit into everyday reality. It is a bizarre and completely anomalous event that breaks your perception of normal, of real. But I'm getting ahead of myself. November 2017, I was 14 years old. I was nearing the end of my second year of high school, and I was in the midst of transitioning into a young adult. Some will argue that that's the cause, or at least one of the causes of what's to come. I was working hard late into the night on a creative project that I just started. It wasn't that late by my standards today, but for young me, 1 o'clock in the morning was inches away from sunrise. Eventually, I finally shut my laptop, turned out the lights and lay down, feeling my eyelids grow heavy until they closed. Sleep quickly crawled its way behind my eyes and I fell into a deep darkness. That was real. There was nothing that anyone could have told me as I sat in my bed, my heart running laps in my chest as I struggled to catch my breath, that would have allowed me to brush that off as a dream or a hallucination. I know what dreaming feels like. This wasn't that. This was something separate from myself, a mind outside of my own. I could feel its gaze pressing into me, and I knew that there was intention and will behind it, but I couldn't brush it off. Not that I really got the chance to anyway. From then on, 2 or 3 nights a week, that thing would be there when I awoke in the middle of the night, trapping me in my body and holding me hostage. It seemed to grow more hostile as time went on. It would shout inhuman sounds in my ears, shaking me violently, squeezing me until I thought I would suffocate. But I would always wake up right before I thought it was over for me. Time went by and I grew more and more afraid to close my eyes at night. Over the summer break, I got into the habit of staying awake all night and only feeling safe enough to fall asleep once the sun's light peeked in my window. It didn't stop the thing from showing up, but it was more tolerable in the light. I could hear my family outside my room, and even though I couldn't call out for them, and they had no idea what nightmarish horrors I was living through and just meters away from them, their presence was infinitely more comforting than the isolation and hopelessness of night. This wasn't a realistic long-term fix though. School started up in 2018 and my sleepless nights were catching up to me. I started having panic attacks, not just when I was laying in bed awaiting my nightly visitor, but also during the day, during school, some for seemingly no reason. It was a long year, and even though it was never more than 4 nights a week, and rarely even that, it was usually around 2 or 3, I never knew which nights it would show up. I was gambling every time I closed my eyes with the possibility that they would open to horrors beyond my comprehension. So even the safe nights were restless. By this point, I had researched sleep paralysis for myself. I found someone saying that sleeping on your back can trigger it, so I tried sleeping on my side and on my stomach. This was so much worse. Now I couldn't see the figure, but I felt its weight pressing on the bed, making its way up as its mass consumed me. I couldn't see what it was doing or where its face was, but I felt its heavy breathing in my ear, which faced up to the ceiling as my nose faced the wall. I've never really had nightmares, since I was a little kid. This was really outside of the norm until it became the norm. In 2019, the episodes continued, even as I neared adulthood. I was 16 now. I had a close group of friends and my waking life was full of adventure, love and laughter. It felt as though I was living a double life in some ways. I would remain ignorant of my fears during the day, only to have nowhere to run when I got home and saw my empty bed waiting for me at the end. I hated this thing. The encounters started to become more infuriating than terrifying. As it would grab me and shake me and scream, I resented the fact that I had no control over my body besides my strained eyes and my clenched jaw. I would scream out in anger in my mind. The creature couldn't or wouldn't acknowledge my efforts. I would internally hurl profanities and insults and threats at the thing. I would demand it to just finish me already and end my torment if only I had the balls or I had the ability to speak. Eventually I gave up. When it would suffocate me, strangle me and shake me, I would just stare at the ceiling, waiting to either die or wake up. It would shout right into my ear, its hot breath leaving condensation on my cheek, the loud screams leaving a high-pitched ringing in their wake. But I would ignore it until eventually it ended for the night. This went on for all of 2019 and into 2020 when we moved into a new house where I still live today. And I haven't had a single episode since we left. Logically, there's no reason to fear my bedroom just because it's dark. I could sit here all day and never once consider that my place of comfort could be complicit in concealing something evil. But there's something about sunset. Something about the way darkness slowly swallows the room, crawling up the walls and veiling the ceiling behind its dense, almost tangible presence. Something that makes me hesitate. Something that makes me uncertain. In survival situations, fear is a powerful tool that your mind can use to protect you. But this was beyond fear. This was anything but my subconscious mind protecting me. I didn't get a good night's sleep for many years. My life was being ruined, sabotaged. Logically, what possible reason would cause my subconscious mind to antagonize and torture me in this way for so long, only to cease forever out of the blue? I don't think I'll ever find an answer to that question that I find satisfying. So I'll ask a different one. How do I know I'm alone in here?